Hello, I'm Dr. Petros Malakian, and welcome to this course on followership. I will be your facilitator for this course. Let me ask you a question. Would you like to learn how to become a follower? Now, many of you may respond to the question like that with a variety of answers. Perhaps you're thinking, "Oh, me? Never. I pay a lot of money to learn how to become a leader, not a follower." Well, if that's you, I didn't mean to offend you. However, I would ask, why not? Perhaps you associate followership with weaknesses, or it's seen as inferior within your organization. You may even be wondering what followership has to do with leadership and why we study followership. Did you know that the topic of followership has been neglected from leadership studies for more than a century? Perhaps the answer as to why is a journey of discovery itself. Let's take this short 8 weeks journey together, shall we? Trust me, I'm a doctor. The concept of leading and following is as old as human civilization and as new as 7 billion people on Earth today. From prehistoric times, humans would identify talented and skillful individuals in their midst and make them their heroes or call them leaders. So, leaders are the ones who influence and possess exceptional human qualities. Does this remind you of the great man theory in leadership studies? Let's jump ahead a bit to the Industrial Revolution of the 1700s. It was during this time that a major shift occurred in how employees were viewed. This change of a perspective laid a foundation for a modern school of management and later theories of leadership. You see, employees or subordinates were categorized as commodities for those whose number one goal was making profit at any cost. Employees became human resources, quote unquote, much like natural resources or material possessions. So, by the end of the 18th century, the factory workers, you may call them subordinates or followers, rose against economic exploitations in France, which marked the beginning of the conflict dilemma and struggle for coexistence between followers and their leaders in organizational contexts. Therefore, the leader-follower relationship became based on social and economic exploitations and psychological manipulations toward the production of material goods and consumptions by the followers themselves. The cost of this shift was heavy on human and natural resources. Out of this change, the methodology of leadership studies, which was completely leader-focused, was born. This means the needs of followers have been completely neglected for more than a century. Moreover, modern social and behavioral scientists were given a task to learn how to make company leaders or managers, not necessarily followers, more effective. Today, we live in a post-industrial era. Followers have more rights and freedom than ever before in the history of humankind. They can refuse to follow leaders who are selfish and greedy, and we see this occurring in employee-initiated turnover, long-lasting strikes, and other acts of civil disobedience. In recent years, researchers began to realize that the study of followership was a necessity. Why is this? There are a few reasons. First, the centuries-long conflict dilemma between leaders and followers has not been resolved in either theoretical or practical levels, primarily because followership has not been studied along with leadership in organizational contexts. Secondly, we realized that leaders could not exist without followers because both are defined in relationships, and without that relationship, leaders and followers cease to exist. Therefore, the study and research of followership has become one of the three main components of the broader discipline of leadership studies beginning the second half of the 20th century: leader, follower, and organizations. So, where does one look for more information for this type of study? Where can we find training which knits together the critical natures of leadership and followership in a given context? Interestingly enough, as I researched these topics, I found a person who used the concept of love in leader-follower relationships. He has a very balanced teaching on leadership and followership, and has experience being both a leader and a follower. As a matter of fact, he has more followers than anyone in human history. That person is Jesus Christ, the greatest example of leadership and followership humanity has ever known. As one of the authors of Situational Leadership, Kenneth Blanchard, says, "The more I read the Bible, the more evident it becomes that everything I have ever taught or written about effective leadership over the past 25 years, Jesus did to perfection. He is simply the greatest leadership role model of all times." Christ told his disciples, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all." Mark 9:35. He also said, "The last will be first, and the first will be last." Matthew 20:16. This course will be based on Christ's followership and leadership from the lenses of social and behavioral sciences. For this very reason, I have designed faith and learning assignments for you to explore the humanity of Christ, not his divinity, but his humanity, as we begin diving into the subject of followership. Please share with me your thoughts through online discussion posts around these topics. I want to know what you think. I look forward to our interactions as we discover together the richness of what it means to be a Christ-like follower and leader. Blessings, and see you next time.